now, everything's okay. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything's actually all right. You're okay. You have more power than you like to give yourself credit for. And if you have something that's going on in your life right now that's challenging or painful, it's just a reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself. Because you're worth it. You can have this feeling anytime you choose. About it right now, everything's okay. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything's actually all right. You're okay. You have more power than you like to give yourself credit for. And if you have something that's going on in your life right now that's challenging or painful, it's just a reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself. Because you're worth it. You can have this feeling anytime you choose.
Hey guys, welcome to the community call number 4. It's been a little while since we spoke to you guys. This time around, there is quite a heavy packed, agenda. So we'll go around presenting everyone, and then we'll jump right ahead and talk about the agenda. So today with us, we have the ambassadors and prominent community members, and we have a few members from the Blocks team. So I'll go one by one and so they can say hi. Ben.
Hi everyone, so this is Ben, still not the real Ben Affleck, so if we can make the real Ben Affleck to invest in this project, I think it will go into the moon. Until then, greetings from Germany, the dark side of the moon.
Awesome. Yorick.
Hey, Yorick with Crypto Manufaktur. Really excited to be part of this, and a shout out to HM23. We've been collaborating on getting our nodes right for a good month now.
So without further ado, HM.
Hello everyone, HM23 Vilas from One Infra. Super excited, super happy to be here. And again, thanks to Yorick. I owe him a lot for all the training and coaching on running a node well.
Awesome. Simple Zen.
Good morning, guys, from sunny California. How's it going? Really grateful to be here. Appreciate the talented people and awesome community.
Awesome. Taiga.
Hi everyone, I'm just your average countryside software engineer, but thank you for having me here. Yeah.
Happy to have you. And our latest addition to the ambassador team, Spooky.
Yeah, hi, I'm Spooky on Discord and the SSV forum. I'm super excited about SSV and super happy to be here.
Awesome. We also have a few guys from the Blocks team today. Lior, CTO.
Hi guys, happy to be here, honored to be with the ambassadors and join the community call. Been busy developing the SSV network.
Awesome. Niv, another new face.
Hey guys, Nate from Blocks. I'm gonna be your contact in any tech-wise and any help you need. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Last but not least, Alon.
Hey everyone, happy to be here.
You're gonna be seeing a lot more of Alon. He's gonna be talking quite a bit, so let's get to it. All right. We'll have a few updates. We'll go about them towards the end of the presentation. Bear with us. There's also, for those of you who are here for the POAP, there's also going to be a POAP on the screen. Dean, our guy, is going to show it to you guys. So stay tuned. It's going to be a little longer, a little while longer before you can see it, but you won't be disappointed. All right, let's get started. So on the agenda today, we're going to talk about the incentivized testnet. We're going to talk about a few very important updates for the DAO. A project or a few projects going on with the community ownership, and present to you the new ambassadors. We'll talk to you about the protocol progress and upcoming releases for the SSV testnet. We'll go over the Explorer operator pages, and then we are open for live Q&A. So make sure to send the questions right now. We'll be collecting them, and then we'll be asking the team members. So it could be either Alon or the team or any of the ambassadors. All right. So Alon, about the incentivized testnet, take it away.
Great. So the big next milestone we have is the incentivized testnet. It's for anyone who keeps track. We uploaded two proposals. One talks about the incentivized testnet and its mechanics, and the other one is kind of I would say, a V0 approach for operator verification. And the reason why those two things go hand in hand is because, of course, operators have, and specifically verified operators have, a dedicated piece of the reward pie. And so we wanted to also take that process, and of course, up until now, it was pretty centralized, and make it a DAO-driven thing. And so those two proposals basically are the foundation for the incentivized testnet. And so what is the incentivized testnet? A testnet, as everyone knows, it's kind of a prerequisite for any decentralized network to come to mainnet. I don't think there's any any network that didn't do that. The idea is to test out the network, test out bugs, test out stabilities, test out just your usual day-to-day operations. And of course, if you're Ethereum, that's one thing, because you have already have a lot of people in your community, and a lot of people want to test it. And we saw that go pretty nicely with the Ethereum testnets. But if you're a newcomer like us, you have the hardcore SSV fans, which of course are now participating in the testnet, and the testnet is actually growing pretty fast. But in order to reach out for more people and kind of test scale and all of those sorts of things, because at the end of the day, we want to make both the protocol and the node reliable for people who are otherwise not that SSV hardcore. They could be very techy, but not necessarily know every aspect of SSV, at least not at the beginning. And so we want to make that experience as smooth as possible. And so the incentivized testnet really has in mind to take what we have now, the testnet we currently have, which has around 240, I think, operators, and around 3,500 validators, maybe a bit less, and scale that up significantly and reach out for with new people and new partners coming in, and just make it bigger in every way. And so the incentivized test, what it does is it creates a set of criteria where if you follow them, you get a big reward, hopefully a big reward. I don't know how much the reward will be, because it of course it gets divided between the different participants. And so in general, this is how the incentivized testnet will work. We have the DAO will allocate 32,000 SSV tokens, and those tokens will be distributed in 8 sequential distributions every 2 weeks. So 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 8 distributions for 4 months, 2 in each month, every 2 weeks. Every distribution basically has a list of accounts, Ethereum accounts, which are eligible, and also the amount of rewards they get, and the rewards are proportional. And so for each distribution, we'll have 50% of the specific distribution go to operators and 50% to validators. Within the 50% of operators, 25% or half of the operators' reward will go to verified operators, and the rest of the 25% will go to all operators, verified and non-verified. And within the verified group, we also have the DApp nodes community, which are great and take a big part of the testnet. And so, of course, just with that kind of first criteria, we already understand that being a verified operator is a privilege, and you get more of the rewards. And so, becoming a verified operator will probably become something people want to do, just because they can earn the rewards. And so that's why the verified operators proposal goes hand in hand with the actual incentivized testnet rewards, testnet proposal. And so that's 50% of the rewards. The rest of the 50%, 35 of those 50% will go to validators, basically anyone who runs an SSV validator, but also has some balance of SSV tokens within their wallet. And within those, and that wallet also needs to register the validator itself. So you have a mainnet wallet, which has some SSVs in it, and you also register your validator with the same wallet. So combining the two, all of those people, and there's no precondition in terms of how many SSVs or maximum amount of SSVs or maximum amount of validators and so on. Out of that group, each account, Ethereum account, will get a pro rata distribution of rewards based on how many SSVs they have and also how many validators they have. And we have the details in the proposal. Anyone who's interested, please go and read it. And of course, it's open up for comments and so on.
So can I just comment something here very quick?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just because we're all really deep in the tech and we know this, but people watching might not. So running a validator, all that means really is you need the goeth, the testeth, and you split that up and you send it via web app to node operators. There's nothing you're running yourself. Nothing needs to be up and running. You're not running software in any way. It's just an interaction on a website with MetaMask. And the goeth is free from the Blocks Discord.
Yeah, but you do have the responsibility, and we'll get to in a second, to choose wisely your operators, and we'll get to see why.
That's right.
And so we still have 15% of all of the rewards per distribution left, and those 15% will go to all validators, SSV holders and non-SSV holders. And so with that in mind, the kind of the reasoning behind that is really to get every single type of actor within the SSV ecosystem involved in some way in the testnet. And I think it's very important to align everyone to kind of the same goal, because the incentivized testnet will be a big milestone. It's if you think about it, and kind of, you know, putting aside the actual, let's say, monetary value of the rewards, because that really depends on the market and everything. But it's the first time that this system is tested within, I would say, actual economical incentives, because up until this point, it was really, you know, just a bunch of people getting together and contributing to something they think is cool. This is the first time we have an actual economical incentive to do something within the network. I would imagine that we'll have probably a lot of issues at the beginning, but hopefully that will also accelerate development, because it will require us to be actually better in every step. It will require the dev team be on their feet more and more vigilantly. It will require the operators to be better and make sure their node is running. It will require the validators to actually choose their operators wisely, because otherwise they won't get the rewards and so on. The rewards are really based on if your validator is up and running for with a certain amount of attestation rate within those 2 weeks of distribution. And so if you choose operators which are not stable, you won't get the reward. On the other hand, operators are getting measured as well. And we actually have a big, I think we have another slide on that, but we have a big version coming up to the Explorer to actually get operator scores public. And those operators will also be judged by that. So operators are obviously a part of the team. And as long as a specific validator with 4 operators performs above a certain threshold of attestation rate, then that validator is eligible for the rewards. And all of the operators are eligible as well. But then it depends on do every single individual operator actually participated in the consensus? Because of course you could have a validator running with only 3 operators, and so in order to discourage one operator just to not do anything, it will be based on your score, and the score definitely takes into consideration your participation in the consensus. And so that's kind of a very high level, I guess, description of the incentivized testnet. We have the details in the proposal. Please make sure you read it, because that's a big, I think everyone should read it and definitely comment on. That's a big milestone, and I think we should set it up right. If we do manage to set it up right, I think it will create a lot of incentives to get into the testnet within every actor within the ecosystem: operators, validators, SSV holders, developers, everyone. And so that's kind of a high level, I guess, description. The rewards distribution. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was waiting for an entry. I wanted to make one more comment regarding choosing node operators wisely. So right this very second, once you've chosen, you cannot change your choice.
Yeah.
And I believe that's going to be true for the entire testnet. Is that right?
Not the entire testnet, but definitely.
Okay, but part of the testnet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So to start, you can't make that. You can't change your mind. So really choose wisely, and you might be able to change later, but we don't know when.
Yeah. And okay. I would add to that also, and I've put it in the proposal. I think it's an important point. You need to get with the right attitude when coming into this incentivized testnet. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not even close. It's really a tool to make the testnet better. And so there are going to be quirks. There are going to be downtime. There's going to be issues. And so I think coming with the right mindset is very important. If something doesn't go well, that's fine. I mean, at least you contributed to the testnet and you can figure this out and make it better. I think the purpose is not to gain as much rewards as possible, but rather be a proactive part in the testnet and get rewarded. I think there's a difference there. And with that in mind, if somebody tries to abuse this thing to get a big portion of the rewards and so on, Of course, if anyone identifies somebody doing that, will of course he will be excluded from the reward distribution. And so I think that the mindset is very important to choose your operators carefully. And of course, from the operator's point of view, it's the first time we actually have quote unquote paying customers, and so it's going to be interesting to see that engagement and that relationship forming between the operators and the users. It's going to be very interesting.
So speaking of gaming the system, one of the typical ways that people do that is that they just spin up a ton of the thing that gets rewarded. Do you have an idea of where like the top is, where you say, don't do more than this because then we'll consider you not friendly?
Yeah, we specifically didn't put anything in the proposal because it's very hard to kind of gauge those things. But anyone can, and specifically this group on this call, anyone can really point out something which doesn't feel right, and we can make the decision. And again, it's not perfect science. That's why I think the approach and the kind of the attitude people come within the testnet is important. We don't have the specifics, but I think that if somebody tries to spin up 1,000 validators to rig the system, I think it's going to be pretty easy to find out. And so, but yeah, it's still a kind of a manual process.
All right, guys, before we launch the official testnet, obviously all the information will be made available. At the moment, you guys need to check the proposal, comment on it. Once everything's agreed and decided on within the community, we'll make it official and make everything available and transparent as possible. There's a lot of people asking about it, so rest assured.
The last thing is the distribution mechanism. So the distribution will be through a Merkle contract, where basically it's a pull mechanism instead of a push mechanism. So if you have a reward, you'll have to interact with the contract in order to get the rewards. Now, of course, this raises up the gas fee issue. And so what we decided to is actually do that on the XDAI network. And so hopefully what will happen is that people gather around several different distribution contracts, put them all in one account, and then make the withdrawal out of the XDAI network. And hopefully that will be okay in terms of fees. And so, yeah, that's the kind of the distribution mechanism.
All right, great. Do you guys have any questions or comments for Alon before we move on to the next part? All right, cool. All right, so the next part, Alon is going to update you guys on the DAO, what's happening in the DAO, and what the future plans are.
Cool. So the DAO is really taking shape. We see a lot of community involvement or growing community involvement, which is great. The first few proposals got passed, and some of them are already executed. Some of them are in execution, and some of them are in the execution queue. And so the two main proposals which passed and now the DAO Multisig committee is working on is the first two groups for the token partners program, and then the Uniswap proposal. And so that's being worked on. It's a bit tricky to get everything right because it's the first time we're doing that. So it will take us a bit longer the first few times, but hopefully that will be better. And so yeah, that's the first part. The DAO already received most of the funds from the first three groups of the token partners program. And so, and mostly it's in USDC. I guess Spook is going to talk more about the treasury and everything. He's managing that. Blocks transferred the 500K SSV tokens grant we first announced, I guess, 2 or 3 months ago. And so that's really helpful for the DAO to take advantage of. And of course, we also have the two first grants. One for consensus in the EF for formal verification of the SSV protocol, and the second one is for Styrium for a really cool SSV integration into their product. And so those two are in line for the execution queue. Hopefully, we'll settle most of it by the end of next week. And yeah, I think I didn't miss anything. And there's a bunch of other proposals on the way. So again, we're seeing increasing community involvement, but I think that if I need to sum it up in one sentence, that I think the DAO needs to be community driven. All of that, every single proposal, every single announcement, everything. And so definitely, I encourage anyone to take initiative. And I think if it's for the good of the project, I don't think people will say no. And so yeah, feel free, and we should see more and more initiatives coming up.
Okay, guys, I know there's a lot to process right now, but we're still moving on. Alon's going to talk a bit about the network growth, the new participants, new operators, and new DAO partners.
Awesome. So we're seeing, I would say, by this point, we probably have around 50 or 60% of all of the staking services on the test. Small and big, and so that's really, really great to see. And we're getting more and more online every single week, and that's really, really great. I think that's really the future and the power behind SSV. If we can get a really solid group of operators from the testnet with the experience of the testnet all the way to the mainnet, I think it's going to be much easier for anyone who wants to in the future build on top of SSV, use SSV to make the decision. And so you see the list of new operators coming in. Those are operators we added, I would say, in the last few weeks. Really, really great. All of them are staking providers, and so it's really good to see them. I would say that there's still a lot of bias towards, I would say, 10 or 15 operators in terms of validator distribution within the testnet. But hopefully we'll see that changing. And by the way, that could change in the incentivized testnet. I mean, we could introduce some factor by which the more validators you have assigned, you actually get some kind of a penalty, quote unquote, in terms of the rewards you get as an operator. So people get incentives to actually choose smaller operators. I think that's important. But yeah, I mean, there is definitely 10 or 15 operators which take a lot of the validators, and I want to see that change. I think that maybe awareness is the first step in that direction. Kind of like we have in Ethereum, right? Choose a minority client and so on. I think that's the same applies here. And so that's the operators side, and of course new DAO members voted on or will be voted on in the next few weeks. Again, a lot of operators coming in. I think that's really, really great. I mean, this is exactly what we want to see. DAO partners, which are both operators within the testnet, operators in mainnet Ethereum, and also take part and position within the DAO. And so I'm very excited about it. And again, I think we already have a lot of the staking services coming in, and we still have a long way to go, but it's definitely in the right direction, I think.
Awesome. Any comments or questions, guys? All right, great. So moving on.
I would ask here the crowd, what are your thoughts about how the testnet is growing and progressing? Are we doing enough or not doing enough in certain areas? What is kind of your thoughts and ideas?
Who is that for?
Yeah,
for all of you, whoever wants to go first.
I'm never shy, so I think it's progressing really nicely. 014 has done a lot to stabilize the network, just judging by my own node, and I cannot wait to see the actual performance metrics, so we can optimize and be right at the top, right? And I'm sure everybody's gonna friendly compete for that and help each other out. So I love the community among node operators so far. It's been really just a friendly co-opetition, as it were. Everybody's helping everybody else, and of course, everybody wants to be at the top at the same time.
We will make
Guys?
sure to have more opportunities to introduce and talk about the operators. They can have the opportunity to talk about their work. So we'll make all of that available on the next calls. And just like Yorick said, friendly competition is never bad.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but any other kind of thoughts on that? I think that's pretty important. If we have anything we need to maybe change or do better or rethink.
The main thing on my mind really is the visibility, right? Just seeing how am I doing. I think that's really important for validators, people who want to stake in testnet, to choose their operators wisely. They need to see that, and it's important for operators to know, oh, you know, I need to fix something. I didn't know it's not working right. You know, that's logs are one thing. We're all alerting on it, but or hopefully we are. But you know, having a good dashboard, that's huge. You know, and I know you're working on it, so that's great.
Yeah, we are working on it, and there's other initiatives for other dashboards as well, which are, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but that's going to be really, really great. But yeah, I mean, scoring is definitely the big part. It took some work around it, but I hope we'll be able to at least have a kind of an initial version for your review probably next week. And we'll take it from there. We'll probably have some fixes around that, but yeah, I mean, that's I definitely agree. That's a big part. I think that visibility for the operators is a crucial thing.
Right, and then I think around verified operators, it's been, you know, very kind of just talk to us and you're verified, and that needs to, and I know this is also in the works, it needs to become more formalized. Like, you need to be this tall to be verified, right? And what this tall is exactly, that will be no doubt vigorous debate.
That's definitely a big thing. I think that I didn't feel good with having to say yes or no for operators to be verified. Just the beginning, it was, you know, it was too difficult to do it in another way, and we needed just, you know, people to take it seriously. But now, once the incentivized testnet starts, and even maybe before that, there's the proposal for verifying operators. I think it's a good step into that direction, and I think that's going to make things a lot more interesting, because I think, you know, once you actually want to propose yourself and so on, you'll feel more commitment to do a better job.
Yeah, I'd like to see something where operators can talk about who they are, and there's a minimum set of requirements. So the DAO has a way of actually, you know, making that decision, not just looking at, I guess they're okay, but they can see, you know, and verify, should we allow these guys?
Yeah, so I'm actually, let's see, let's go through the actual proposal. So I'll go briefly on that, but generally, we have kind of a template where people can just look at what is expected of them in terms of a proposal to get verified. And so you'll have your name or the company's name, which infrastructure you're running. You'll need to run a testnet operator with a bunch of validators before you actually make a proposal, just to so people can see your performance being assigned to validators. I mean, there's importance of if you're a staking provider with mainnet staking or not, background, where you're located in the world, and so who's your team. All of those parameters should be in a proposal. And so again, it's not perfect, but this is going to be much more transparent and frankly specific for operators to get through being verified. And so that's going to be interesting. Again, I think that the incentivized testnet, the gist of it is other than, of course, testing out and scaling the testnet, is also to just create that relationship between validators, operators, and SSV holders. I think that's a big step forward in that direction.
That's a great answer. We're actually joined by one of the Ethereum guys, Stefan, I think, if you want to say hi.
Hey there, thank you. I'm sorry that I'm late.
No worries. Good to have you. Alon just mentioned you guys and the proposal that you made, so it's good to see you attach a face to that proposal. Awesome, cool. So the next part is a bit about the marketing efforts going on. So we started giving ownerships or allocating ownerships over specific domain segments of the marketing efforts that the network as a whole should be doing. We'll ramp it up in the next couple of weeks. Some of the ambassadors today are going to talk about it. They're going to explain a bit about what they're doing to make it happen. We will share some more information with you guys. We want to externalize as much of the, just like Alon mentioned with the DAO, same goes with the marketing. We want to externalize as much as possible to the community, get you guys to decide on specific efforts or vote on them, you know, make suggestions and so on. So first of all,
yeah, Eran, if I can kind of interject just before that, I think that one of the things that leads, so imagine a network as kind of the Big Bang, right? You have, when everything starts, there's usually a company or a group of people starting out that network. But the idea is, as that network grows, it also becomes distributed. And I think that's what's on the agenda. And so if you kind of see the trend, we try to make, delegation is not the right word. We try to give away as much of the things we now do as blocks to the community. And it's not delegating responsibility, it's giving responsibility, because delegating means you can take it away. Giving responsibility means that's your responsibility to have. And so in that, you know, everything we do now is in that direction. I think that the ultimate goal is to, and that's definitely needs to happen. I think that the network and its success shouldn't depend on anyone in particular. It should depend on the entire community as a group. And so this attempt that, or this thing that Eran mentioned is another step in that direction, where we want others to take the lead on a very important thing, which is, you know, how the project is perceived outside of you know, this community. And it's a big part of what we're doing, of course, making things public and attracting new people to come in and so on. And I think that's a big step forward. And I would definitely personally want to see that in almost everything we're doing, from development to community to marketing, to anything basically. I think that's the agenda we need to pursue. That's exactly what, because if we can make this happen, then it and really have a decentralized community around that, which have specific things doing, and frankly just be more and more like how the Ethereum ecosystem is today, where you have a ton of different teams doing a ton of different things, and each one of them has its own responsibility and does stuff for the community and for the network. I think that's the direction I want to see this whole thing going. And I think networks which did that correctly became very successful. And it's not a you know, a sufficient condition to be successful, but it's, in my opinion, definitely a necessary one. So just kind of the, I guess, the backstory or the kind of the agenda behind this effort.
So yeah, there's going to be, Alon gave you a few spoilers for what's coming. I'll let the ambassadors talk about some of the original efforts that we launched. But for you, just to give you a general idea, there's going to be a new website, new marketing assets. Going to be, think of it as a blank canvas for you guys to make suggestions, comment on, change fonts, text. It doesn't matter. You know, we'll have the basis there. It's a blank canvas for you guys to make your contribution. And as a whole, as a community, just like Alon mentioned, come up with the tone of voice, the messaging, and so on. But that will be gradual, step by step. We'll get there. We'll share that information next week. In the meantime, Spooky and Mad Dude, new ambassadors, Very happy to have them with us. We'll let Spooky talk in a second about the treasury management. Besides that, keep in mind, guys, that we've had a few updates coming out last week. We'll make one of the best things that's happened so far is the Ben's digests. We'll leave it up for last thing. Ben will talk a bit about that. So let's start with Spooky. If you want to talk a little bit about—
Ben, is that a coincidence that the second Ben or the other Ben is also doing digests for Ethereum? Is that a coincidence or?
I think so. We're different persons, eh? That's for sure.
It's a fair question. Spooky, in the background, Dean is going to show the Excel that you created. If you want to say a few words about what you did and what it's used for, that'll be great.
Yeah, sure. So I'm an SSV DAO member and software engineer by trade. I was recently tasked with DAO treasury management. So I think it's important to clarify that I do not control the DAO treasury. That is the job of the Multisig committee. I simply overlook it. So yeah, a couple of key points. We crossed the 10 million USD value with the biggest holding being SSV. Yeah, there's a lot of outgoing transactions still to come as SSV is sent out to the batch 1 of the partner program. But other than that, yeah, the Google Sheet should come out soon. I don't think it's public, but it should be soon. And yeah, super excited about the decentralized marketing initiatives, and yeah, hope to get involved with that as well.
You definitely will. Good to have you.
I don't think we're seeing the spreadsheet. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, it's in the background. Dean is showing it in the background. You can see that most of the information is already there. Spooky will make sure to update it. You'll also see his name in the top corner. We'll share with the community after. But it's a great initiative, and following what Alon mentioned before, it's exactly what we think the community should, take a hold of, take ownership over. Yeah. So very, very glad to have Spooky with us. All right. So we've also
just a quick word about treasury management. I think that in the world of checks and balances, I think that's a crucial function. So you'll have the community proposing or voting on stuff, right? You'll have the Multisig committee executing those things if they're required to, and in between you'll have treasury management, which basically means that it exposes outside whatever happens between those 2 points, because you can have a disconnection between a proposal and the actual execution in terms of just having what transaction ID did this proposal is referencing in the actual wallet and the actual execution. And I think that connection is really, really important. That's one thing. And the second thing, I think it should be, and Spooky, and I hope you are that person, kind of a voice of reason in terms of how we want to approach treasury management, because at the end of the day, this is the assets that the community has to take their wants and needs and execute on top of them. And so that's why I think this thing is really, really crucial. And again, it should be in the community's hands and followed up and managed by the community. I think it's a crucial part. This is the funds which will help this network grow and be built. And so it's a pretty important thing.
Yeah, if anyone has any comments, remember to just send me a message on Discord, and yeah, we can look at it.
Yeah, we'll make an official release next week so you guys can take a look. At the moment, there are quite a few transactions there. As time goes on, you'll definitely see a whole lot more. So Spooky's job is going to get a whole lot more difficult, but it's a beginning. And in the future, we'll ramp it up, make it as even more transparent if that's possible. So again, suggestions, anything you want to know, that's the time. Moving on to FOD, who's also has a small update for us.
Hey everyone. I didn't introduce myself before, but I'm FOD. I'm a community member, engineer. Been around on this project for several months now, helping out however I can. just recently, I got a Reddit community started. There's nothing really on there yet. I'm going to just start by making basic posts, put on the important announcements, newsletters, things like that. But really, I just wanted to have one more part of the community that we can use and kind of make it what we want it to be. So definitely feel free to join. Send me any comments. We can add different things to customize it if you want additional content on it, or we want to make it look pretty, to have a banner, have a logo, and all that kind of stuff. Or yeah, anything you guys want, just we can make it our own. And then so the subreddit itself is SSV Network, all one word. So hopefully it shouldn't be too hard to find. And then beyond that, just to piggyback on what everyone else is saying, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or any of the other community members if you want to get involved. Right now, we're really trying to get organized and make pushes to kind of decentralize this community and take ownership of a lot of the tasks, whether it's marketing or doing things like Spooky did with Treasury. I think that's great. So however you think you can contribute, and however you want to get involved, please reach out and let's grow this together.
Thought I owe you a formal apology. I forgot to call you.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
I'm sorry
you guys are going
that,
to be seeing my face a lot, so don't worry.
Yeah, Fudd is definitely, if you haven't seen him already, then you're definitely going to see his face around. That's another initiative of giving away the ownership. There's no reason whatsoever why the centralized team should manage whatever's happening on Reddit. So it's open to the community. Fudd took a great initiative. We hope to ramp it up. In the beginning, he'll be granted any resources that he needs. In the future, that whole process hopefully will be automated, but we'll get to that bridge and explain exactly what we mean. All right, last but not least, Ben has a few updates for us as well.
Brilliant. So if you could quickly stop your screen sharing so I can share mine.
That.
No worries.
There you go.
Brilliant. So give me a second and let me know when you see it. It's good?
Yeah, I see it. Dean, can you see it up on the screen as well?
I see cats and a dog.
All right, guys. Brilliant. So let's talk about the SSV Community Digest. So first of all, shout out to Dean from Blogs for taking the time to create this lovely picture for the last digest issue. I'm really curious what your creativity outputs for the future issues. So yeah. Well, the Community Digest was born to bring people up to speed basically when they are new or when they were away for a couple of weeks. So that was the basic idea, and the digest is currently published within the blog staking publication on medium.com. So the structure of the digest is really straightforward. The major news and the announcements are written as pure prose text right at the start. Then additional content or more detailed content is split into a few sections, such as the DAO, where we have all the important proposals and votings. We have a section out of the blocks where we try to cover a few news around block staking. And of course, we have other categories to cover interesting podcasts, videos, tools, codes, and more. So the publishing frequency is 1 week so far, although I have to admit that this might vary from time to time. Let's see. So far, I've published around 3 issues, or exactly 3 issues, and we had around 800 views with roughly 300 unique readers, which spend around 3 minutes reading on average. That's pretty good, I guess, for a start. So it proves to be valuable for at least some of you. So here is my call to action. If you spot interesting content around SSV or related topics, so please drop me a line either by mail or DM me on Discord. The same goes for your own content. If you like to create any kind of content around SSV and you need a kickstart, just call me and we will see how we can integrate it in the Community Digest. Of course, follow me on the blog's publication. And if you want, also ring the bell on YouTube, that's for sure, Twitter, and you will never miss a thing. All right, that brings me to my second topic today. In the last issue of the Community Digest, I've already warned you about scammers on the Discord server. The more prominent the SSV project gets, the more it will attract scammers, unfortunately. And I'd like to take the chance and raise a bit of awareness on this topic. And for this, I'd like to show you a few examples of scammers trying to engage with you on Discord. So it turned out that there is a pattern for this. You as a user ask for help on any of the channels, and as a result, you get contacted via DM by various senders. So usually they have something like support, assistance, or Q&A in their names. And actually, it turns out that if something is labeled as support, it rarely is support. And man, what a weird world, right? But what's even worse is we have scammers trying to copy the profile of the official blogs representatives, like such as Adam. So this is really hard to spot, and you have to look at the exact username in the profile settings and compare it to the real one. So also be aware of minor variations in the spelling. It's really hard to spot. Blogs already took a security measurements and blocked a couple of bots users, and recently enabled capture for verification for newcomers. I think these are great measurements, but also, yeah, take care. And besides the pretty obvious things, such as never sharing your seeds or your seed keys, passwords, and never click any link or approve any transaction unless you're absolutely sure, there is, I guess, another rule of thumb you could follow. So the official support tickets are always opened proactively by you, right from the submit tickets channel. And this immediately opens a new private channel on the left where you can talk to the support privately. So remember to keep the discussion in that channel only, and stay skeptical when you get contacted via DM after reaching out for help on the public community. So finally, you can always challenge the situation with the community and report everything that seems suspicious to you. And so everyone, stay safe. It's crypto, and that's it from my side. So back to the team.
This was amazing, Ben. Yeah. Again, another amazing initiative. I didn't even think about sharing that information. So really, thanks for that. Let me just share my screen again. All right. So this was very much needed, because it's funny, I got approached by one of these scammers as well. He didn't check my name, and then he didn't realize that we were one of the, anyway, moving on. Last part, Alon, we have a few protocol progress and upcoming updates. So take it away.
Yeah, so V14 got released about a week ago, I think, maybe a bit more. That was a major fix for the networking stability we saw. And ever since, I think we're pretty stable in terms of networking. We're actually seeing a lot of growth in operators, so that's really, really encouraging. I think we're had about like 70 new operators the past 2 weeks, so that's great. We'll still need to do a bunch of iterations. Amir from the team is working on refactoring and the networking side with documentation and product and specs and so on. But so that's still very much work in progress. And of course, the big thing is slashing protection. Now, keep in mind, slashing protection only works if at least three out of the four operators are have slashing protection. And the reason why I say that is because we actually saw a validator get slashed because two of the operators were on 1.1.3 and two were on 1.4. And so just to give you, I guess, a way of thinking about it is, imagine that and it doesn't have to be even malicious activity, just kind of the way to go. So imagine that operators 1, 2, and 3, 1 being updated with slashing protection, 2 and 3 are not updated. they come to a consensus on a specific attestation with a specific beacon route. And then for some reason, operator number 4, which does have slashing protection, was offline, or for whatever reason, all of a sudden proposes the same attestation with a different beacon route, which obviously is slashable. Now, in that scenario, because operators 2 and 3 don't have slashing protection, they will actually sign and come to a consensus with operator number 4 on the slashable attestation. And they'll continue actually broadcast that attestation and actually slash themselves. And so that's why it's very important to have at least three, the quorum, 3 out of 4, or whatever the quorum of committee members is, at least have the majority of them have slashing protection. But also that's part of the reason, or most of the reasons, why you see that in order to move to the next sequence number, you have to come to a consensus on the current sequence number. That's part of the security of SSV. It's a crucial part because otherwise you can split the operators, and a malicious actor, even not a malicious actor, can actually sign a slashable attestation. And so that was version 1.4. And of course, we're working hard on 1.5. 1.5 includes a bunch of fixes. One, there's a major RPC fix we realized we implemented wrong. And so that will make all of the syncing messages work much better, which are now generating a lot of errors. And so that's one part. We'll be having a lot of leaks and stability fixes, both for the exporter, but also for the node itself, and make it more stable. There's a few leaks which cause it to crash sometime. And another major thing we did was to actually update the go-to client. We're using testnets.io beacon node clients. They basically have, it's basically a package where it connects to all of the different beacon node implementation and exposes just one single interface, which is very, really useful. And so we updated the go-to client package, and then making sure, a long story short, it required a lot of refactoring of the code. But anyway, we updated it. That's crucial because it makes everything works better. And so those are the major things we'll be releasing with 1.5. 1.5 is also the first time we'll have a soft fork within the network. The reason is actually because of the RPC fixes. We changed the endpoints or the protocols they support. And so it's kind of a soft fork, and it's the first time we'll actually test out the forking capabilities of the node. We implemented in the background. We haven't really talked about it too much, but we knew someday will come, we'll have to do some kind of a fork. And so that's the first kind of small test for the forking mechanism within the node. And so that's again, another thing. We originally planned the soft fork to be, I think, noon UTC next Wednesday, but it might depend on when we actually release the version, and so it might be a bit later. And so that's version 1.5. And the big thing with the Explorer, actually two things within the Explorer. One is we introduced operator pages, which are really, really cool. Basically, kind of some information everyone can see on verified operators. So, you know, a bit of information about them, links to their social media, a bit of information about how they run their infrastructure. And so that takes shape and so on. We, of course, encourage every operator to update their information with our team so we can upload that. It's currently very centralized, but hopefully in the future we'll put it on IPFS or something, and it's going to be much easier to get a hold of. And I think that's about it for that.
Question about the new operator pages.
Yeah.
Is this showing version information so people can point fingers, or is that coming later?
Not yet. No, not yet. The operator pages are pretty simplistic, like literally just text. But we will need to add version information to the actual operator page once we have all of the information about consensus and scoring and everything. So that's kind of a part of that chunk. because yeah, so yeah, that will be there.
Yorick will also introduce a few more ways for operators to communicate with the rest of the community regarding updates, or whether, let's say, something goes wrong with your setup, then you can explain what went wrong, what the fixes that you did were, and so on. So we'll give you guys the opportunity to communicate and get your own feedback from the users who are using you guys, or who will be using you guys. Yeah.
Right. So rather than having everybody do their own blog or Medium or whatever it is, there'll be a more centralized way to get that.
Yeah, so think about it this way. You'll have a tag on Discord. That tag will be called Crypto Manufacturer. Anyone who wants to or is using Crypto Manufacturer can choose that tag or that setup, and you can send them directly as the owner of that tag. You can send them updates to all of them. So we're playing with a few ideas. We'll definitely give you the platform to share more of your work, because the sooner we get towards the incentivized testnet, the more the differences between the setups will become more relevant for the community.
Cool.
So we'll definitely share with you guys. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this was packed with information. Usually the last part is dedicated for Q&A. I'll try to rush through it because I've already kept you guys up for an hour, and I apologize for that, but there's a lot to cover. Next time we'll try to make it a bit shorter. So I've collected a few questions from the community over the past week or so. Also some of the comments that you guys left on Discord right now and YouTube, and I'm gonna send. We have about 10 minutes, so I'll try to squeeze as many questions as I can into those 10 minutes. Right. First question. It comes about regarding the vesting and the cliff. So they're asking. John is asking, can you explain the difference between the cliff and the vesting periods on the DAO Partners SSV program?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Cliff means that the tokens are non-transferable or non-withdrawable in the context of the vesting period. So 1 year cliff means that during that year, the tokens are vesting, but not withdrawable. So after 1 year, you'll have 50%. You can withdraw 50%, but during that 1 year, you cannot move your tokens. From that moment on, 1 year of vesting starts, which means that basically every block you get a small amount of tokens released, and you can withdraw them. And so it's kind of just a mechanism to make those tokens transferable. So those are the two kind of I guess terms. Yeah.
Great. All right, Dean will show you in the background what Alon is talking about. It's so you can see exactly where it is in the DAO. You can check it out yourselves. All right, next question goes out to FOD. So they're asking, FOD, I see you engaged all the time. Also, parentheses, congrats on new ambassadors. I would love to become one as well. How would I do that?
I would say the best way is to keep engaging, and then just reach out to us and say you want to get more involved. And I mean, I think there is some level of trust that's required. Like if you just pop in as a new user and say, hey, we want to take ownership or something, like, we might ask you to show your service a little bit. But in general, please don't hesitate. Just reach out, contribute however you can, talk to us in these communities, and really just make it known that you want to get more involved, and we'll take care of it.
All right, great. I actually have a question for Stefan. They're asking, so can any proposal be put up for voting? How did you guys come to a situation where so early on you were able to pass your proposal? That's kind of a tricky question, I guess.
Well, why they accepted our proposal, I can't answer that. We saw early interest in SSV because it's a completely decentralized way of running a validator. So we were pretty much just interested in getting involved with this. And as we already push decentralization of the network also on mainnet with Stereo node, we thought, why not write a proposal and try our luck? And it worked out. And I think so far we found already some important bugs that we helped to fix with the SSV blocks team. So I think it's going great right now.
Thanks for the answer.
I would add because I was involved with that as well. I think that once you have a proposal like the Serum guys had, which is very much aligned with what we're doing, it's a no-brainer. And so especially if you have already a track record and you're recognized in the industry, in the community, and so on. So I think that as long as those proposals are aligned with what is happening within the ecosystem of SSV, I think that's a really great way to start getting people interested.
Great answer. All right, this one goes out to, I guess, all of you, because he didn't specifically say who it goes out to. So they're asking this: my validator went offline, then I added another one, parentheses, with different operators, and a few days later, that one went offline as well. What can I do about it? How can I ensure my participation in the incentivized testnets? It's a tricky question. If anyone's brave enough to pick that one.
Join our team as a developer and find all of the issues.
So, I think that gets right to what we talked about earlier, right? You need visibility to see which operators are doing how. We don't have that yet. And we also don't have the ability to withdraw from an operator and choose a different one quite yet. So really the reality is you may have to spin up another one, with different operators, but visibility on the Explorer, which we've talked about all through this call, is going to be huge.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right, so I think we have time for a couple more questions, and then we'll have to answer the rest of your questions offline or on the Discord, as any way you guys prefer. All right, so this one goes out for the partners program. So they're asking, how does one become a partner DAO? How do you vet or screen any of the requests that keep on coming in?
I mean, we don't vet and screen. If you want to be a partner, write a proposal. I would suggest be active before that so people know who you are. But the only limitations is really that you need 100 SSV to propose something. And even that, I mean, it shouldn't be a problem to remedy that. So there is no limitation. Like literally go and make yourself visible in the community if you want to be part of it and make a proposal. Of course, you can reach out to everyone who is involved and get feedback, but there is no limitation. If somebody wants to propose something on the DAO, they don't need to ask permission. They don't need to ask. I mean, they could consult with people active in the community to get some feedback and so on. But there's no limitation on who can propose what. You can propose anything you want. And if there's community backing around that, that will get voted on, basically.
All right, two last questions. This one goes out to Alon again. Which proposals will Blocks' controlled share of SSV will vote on? So it's a bit phrased funny, but I guess you understand.
Yeah, I like there's no I guess a predetermined way to decide that. As a general rule, I would say we don't want to vote on anything. That sounds a bit counterintuitive, but that's the truth. I mean, again, and that's why we also limited the way we vote. And so anyone who read the blog post we did just before the CDD to SSV conversion, I think that again, this needs to be a community driven thing, and so hopefully we shouldn't be voting on anything. I would say that if there's a proposal which is, I don't know, borderline legal and stuff like that, I mean, I don't think it will happen, but then we might even vote against or at least speak out. But generally speaking, we are voting, but the idea is for us not to vote, if that makes sense.
All right. Thank you. In the meantime, Dean will share the POAP in the screen so you guys can claim it. Same process. You can scan the barcode. It'll be up on the screen in a second. All right, I'll try to squeeze another one in. So Alon, when are you planning on having more than one operators available for choosing? Sorry.
More than one or more than four?
More than 4 operators available for choosing.
So whenever I think we'll feel the network is stabilized more. I mean, I did run some tests with 7 and 10 operators, and it seems to work okay. I want to get to a point where it's more stable, and then we can release it. I think the idea is to support 7 and 10. 7 and 10 operators in the contracts, and maybe expand that more in the future. Honestly, I don't see a lot of value in having like 50 operators. I think, although probably it could theoretically support it, but 4, 7, and 10 is probably the 99% of the use cases. Yeah, that will something we want to do. There's a bunch of things we need to do once the network stabilizes a bit. So supporting other duties like proposals, and specifically sync committees and all those things. Supporting more operators, but those things are not features per se, but they're not like, we're working now on the core things, consensus, networking, storage, and all those things. Once those things are set in place and are well are performing enough and so on, adding those other things is much easier. And so yeah, you'll see that. I don't know, I don't have an ETA for that, but that's definitely something we need to do.
So the last question is exactly about ETAs. When are you expecting to release mainnet version of SSV Network? Is there an official ETA? Obviously, it had to be asked.
Not yet. I mean, we are aiming for Q1 somewhere, but no, I mean, there's no. It's not going to be serious to announce an ETA before we know where we're heading. I could tell you at least I guess the milestones to get there. So the closest milestone is to get things much more stable. The next one after that is incentivized testnet, where you'll have hopefully a scaling of the existing testnet. Then we're talking about probably, so this testnet is actually testnet number 2-ish. We had a testnet before that, which was kind of closed and so on. So then there will be a next version of the testnet. I don't know if it's going to be a hard reset on the testnet like we had in Ethereum, or it's going to be just a continuation of the existing one. But there is another version of the testnet where actually we introduce all of the economics of the network. So fee payments and all those things. Anyone who wants to learn more, you can see that on the GitHub repository, and we'll actually release some specs around that probably in the next few weeks. And so that's another major milestone, because it basically will mean that once that's deployed and workable inside the testnet, that's actually the release candidate, or at least the beginning of the release candidate. And in that, by the way, we're going to introduce another function within the ecosystem, which is a liquidator, which is cool in of itself, but liquidator not for the Ethereum stake, but rather liquidator for the fee payment and accounts between the validator, the user, and the operators, and so on and so forth. So that's going to be a major milestone. We're aiming to start that testnet somewhere in January, and after that, as good as that testnet is going, of course, somewhere in the middle we'll have an audit, but that's basically the last mile. And as soon as that release candidate testnet is going to be working well and so on, from there the road to mainnet is pretty short. So that's I guess the next 6 months of everything that's going to happen.
All right. With that final note, thank you everyone for staying for this long. It's been the most productive call we've had so far, in my opinion. It's great to see such amazing engagement from the ambassadors. Feel free to reach out to them. Feel free to reach out to us, but don't fall for any scammers. Listen to Ben's advice. Next time we'll announce a few more updates specifically about the community. Again, thank you everyone for participating and sticking out for over an hour. All right, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
So much.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Just think about it right now. Everything's okay. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything's actually all right. You're okay. You have more power than you might be giving yourself credit for. And if you have something that's going on in your life right now that's challenging, painful, it's just a reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself. Because you're worth it. You can have this feeling anytime.